We're opening up the Mailbag Monday. Why not? White and Holiday, they play great defense together. I'll get into that. Third quarter, still an issue. Should Danilo Gallinari come back? And the All-Star game in Boston. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, Heat John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network where it's your team every day, and I got you covered every single day with a free, fresh podcast that drops directly to your device if you have subscribed. So go ahead and do that right now. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the show. If you're a regular, everyday listener, I love you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you being with me every Monday through Friday, plus these bonus podcasts like yesterday's podcast after the Celtics beat the Houston Rockets. They play on a weekend, I pod on a weekend. That's how it goes. Hop into the comment section of the YouTube page. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm John Karalis. I used to play a long time ago. Now I'm covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. Today, mailbag time. Later on, we try to have some fun. I do the impossible and try to put my rap Mount Rushmore together, which if you're wondering why this podcast is late, it's because I spent a lot of time putting a very bad Mount Rushmore together of rap all-time rappers. It's just hard to do. But anyway, people like to have fun with the mailbag, so I get into some of that much later. But we'll get into the All-Star game. We'll get into Danilo Gallinari. We'll get into the third quarters. But let's start with today's show is brought to you by Jase Medical. I can't forget that. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase case, which provides you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. Use the code LOCKEDON and get $20 off your order. That's JASE medical.com. All right, now we can get into Farad's question, which goes back to the Timberwolves game. He says that trap with Derek White and Jrue Holiday looked like it wasn't a planned trap called by the coach. It looked like a trap that Holiday instinctively just did. I'm wondering, can you confirm that? What are your thoughts on that trap? It was an incredible defensive play. So, yeah, we've seen that happen a few times. It's not just that play. Holiday does do stuff like that on his own. Now, some of it is coaching in that he's been empowered by the coach to make reads. Holiday has been given kind of free reign to freelance when he sees fit. And everybody kind of has. They make reads. They understand when to go, when not to go. The Joe Mazzulla strategy, his approach is less rigid, less formulaic. And that's kind of come up over the course of the past few days, especially with Ime coming back. Comparisons between Brad Stevens, who had, and Jaylen even said, like he put kind of went to the progression of his three coaches. Brad did the thinking for you. He was very well prepared. This is what we do. This is how you do it. You just do it. Mazzulla, Ime was more like, figure it out. You guys are pros. We have our base principles. You figure it out. And that was more empowering his players to, he kind of forced them to think for themselves and be like, all right, well, I got to think for myself. And Mazzulla is a combination of both, where it's preparedness and the thought out. This is kind of how we approach things, with a really strong element of go figure it out. Like, there's a base how we're doing this. Do we want to blitz? Do we not want to blitz? And if these guys have been given their freedom, then they can blitz when they see fit. They can, within the confines of, hey, we do not want to double. We do not want to blitz. Maybe they still find a moment, but Holiday has been given the free rein to go and make these plays, and he has said multiple times that he enjoys it. He appreciates it, and it's kind of like a fun, interesting new way for him to play the game because it's something that he hasn't had to that level. So it's Holiday. It's his own kind of read and instincts, and he does a great job of it. And yeah, Missoula allows for that a lot. So yeah, it's great to kind of let these guys are incredible basketball players. They should have some freedom to kind of do what they want. Reginald asks, do you think this past year Celtics was better in the third quarters because for most of the year we would usually be losing by half, but this year we're the best first quarter team, and we're usually playing with the lead, so lazy third quarters this year. What are your thoughts? So I think there's an element of that. I think when you can't help but when you're up, relax, right? You things are going great. Everything's working. The shots are falling. You're attacking. You're getting to the rim, blah, blah, blah. You put together this 20-point lead, and you're like, man, these guys have nothing. So you kind of cruise, right? It's like a car getting onto the highway, right? First quarter is the on-ramp. Second quarter is merging into traffic, right? If you like to drive at like 75 or 80 miles an hour, you get all the way to the left lane. So you get onto the highway. You've got to hit the gas to get onto the highway. That's the first quarter for the Celtics. They hit the gas most first quarters, and they get up to speed really quickly. Then the second quarter is the maneuvering. I'm doing 50. Now I'm doing 55, 65, 75. I'm getting into that fast lane. And then the third quarter is cruising in that fast lane. We're just 75. There's a cop. I'm not going to go any faster than 75 because I don't want to get pulled over. Nope, the cop's gone. Let's push it to 80 a little bit. But you're kind of cruising. And third quarter, if someone's trying to follow you, or if someone's like behind you and in a hurry, yeah, maybe that's when the other team starts to say, we're desperate. Like the desperate, they start to, they're the ones hitting the gas. And you're cruising. You're just kind of, sometimes you're in that zone, right? 75 miles an hour. You'll oh, look at the foliage. Look at that. Or, oh, that's a new thing. Or, oh, look, that's a new car that I like. Oh, okay. You're not kind of paying attention to everything that you should be paying attention to like you were before, and you get past. Or the car kind of catches up to you. Or, so that's kind of like a natural feeling, a natural thing that happens to every team. So there's an element there. When you're up, there's always a propensity to relax a little bit. With the 3-point shot and the really honestly, the quality of NBA player, no lead is safe. 30-point lead, 30-point halftime lead is bad, but doable. You can get past a 30-point halftime lead. You can win a third quarter by 15 and all of a sudden make things feel uncomfortable. So I don't think the Celtics should be relaxed the way they were relaxed. I think Celtics should kind of recalibrate, and NBA teams in general should kind of recalibrate. 30 is the new 20. They need to start thinking of 20-point leads as what 14-point leads used to be. You hit 3 3-pointers in a row. You miss a couple of shots, they come down, you hit 3 3-pointers in a row. All of a sudden, it's like an 11-point game. And that's nothing. So teams have to be better about that. But I think that's a big part of what happens in third quarters. Celtics generally have leads, and they kind of relax. Walker asks, now that Gallinari is headed to Detroit, seems like there's a chance for him to be bought out. Would it be possible? What do you think about bringing him back? It is possible now. So the rule is when you trade a player away, You cannot reacquire him for 1 year. But if he gets traded again or cut by that team and clears waivers, then you can reacquire him. So the Celtics can, if he gets bought out, reacquire Danilo Gallinari. I don't know that they should. He is a big who theoretically can shoot, but he's shooting 31% this year from three. Granted, it's on the Wizards, and maybe that's not the best place for him to go and get shots. He has historically been better than that, but he's also had the occasional down year here and there. So this might just be a down year. I don't care if they get Gallo for the end of the bench. It's going to be another situation where should he play, should he not play? Like he probably not going to play very much. So they could do better. They could do worse, I suppose. But maybe you're righting a wrong trade because you had to trade away Gallinari to get Porzingis. I don't know. I nothing about what what Gallinari has done this year makes me think they need to bring him back. But if they do, it's deep depth. He's not going to play. Don't expect him to get rotation minutes. Don't get all excited and play the Danilo Gallinari song. Like, don't play that stuff. Like, he's just going to sit at the end of the bench and get a bunch of DNPs. So don't get too excited, even if it happens. All right, let's get to the All-Star game. A couple of questions, including why the hell this thing isn't in Boston. We'll do that next. Today's show is brought to you by Jase Medical. Now, we know it's kind of a wild world out there. The craziness of the world can lead to a lot of things, including supply chain issues. And, pharmacies are running out of things like antibiotics, like amoxicillin. There are shortages. And, hey, if you get to a point where you need some of these antibiotics for something like respiratory infections, UTIs, sinus infections, skin infections, if you're stuck in a place, maybe, I just lost power earlier today. Maybe you're stuck, something happens, who knows? You need yourself antibiotics. The Jase case can help you in that regard. You go to jasemedical.com. You complete a physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy and a fraction of the regular cost. And if you use the code LOCKEDON, you get $20 off your order. So it's Jase Medical, JASE medical.com. They have the Jase case, 5 different antibiotics that can help you in an emergency. Take them with you if you're out camping. Take them with you if you're traveling. Take them with you in a place where you never know if you're going to get stuck and might need something to get you to the point where you can go see a doctor and kind of get treated. So Jase Medical, JASE medical.com. Use the code LOCKDOWN for $20 off your order. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On Sports today. It's the first ever 24/7 all sports streaming channel on YouTube. Lots of stuff going on, including the Detroit Lions winning the first playoff game in like 3 decades. So plenty of stuff to talk about, plenty of stuff that will be on all day long, every day. Put it on, leave it on, and forget about the contrived arguing shows that happen everywhere else. Just go watch Locked On Sports today and get real content. Let's get back to the mailbag here. Jarrett says, seeing the Clippers and LA get the 2026 All-Star game makes me sad. I know Celtics ownership doesn't own the TD Garden, and that seems related. It kind of seems ridiculous the All-Star game hasn't been played in Boston. In a perfect world, Springfield and Boston would co-host All-Star weekend and have some events at the Basketball Hall of Fame, because being the birthplace of basketball should get you some love. I mean, I could see it. I can see like some kind of maybe the rookie game, the something like that being held at the Hall of Fame or something, or some sort of event, some sort of like charity. I don't know, something. Maybe they do the celebrity. I would not want to sully the Basketball Hall of Fame with a celebrity game. But point is well taken. It's tough because Springfield is not exactly close to Boston. I mean, you're going to be driving for a couple hours to get out there. So that'll be tough. Hard to coordinate that. But as far as Boston not getting the All-Star game, that's a tough one. Obviously, a new building, new arena for the Clippers opening up. They want to get that showcased, right? So they're going to be opening up soon. I think next season, which is great. Get the Clippers out of the crypto, pile of crap arena over there. Let each team have its own arena, and they're going to want to showcase it, right? So that I get it. Now the Celtics, Boston, I think should get an All-Star game. They want to they're making a bid. I think for the first time in a long time, I think Boston is really trying to make a serious bid for an All-Star game. And who knows what happens after the Clippers won in 2026. Maybe you were looking at 2027 or shortly thereafter. I think Boston is in a position to host the game. And they've done it in Toronto. They've done it in New York, cold cities. So the weather shouldn't be an issue. There's plenty to do. I think adding venues like Encore, the casino, helps. There are plenty of hotels. There's plenty of space. There are, I think the city can compete very nicely for that event, but they don't own their building, and they have to make sure they clear out that weekend for that event. And you have to go through the building's owner, which is Jeremy Jacobs, who owns the Jacobs family, who owns the Bruins in Delaware North. And it does get complicated for sure. It does get complicated, but I think there's plenty of space in the city, and they should be able to do it. Can you do something in Springfield? Maybe. I think you can have that discussion, but I think Boston hosting the All-Star game is, I think we might actually see it. I think the last time they hosted the All-Star game was in the 60s. I want to say 64. And that was the formation of the Players Union. So that was a momentous occasion for the NBA. That the NBA, the Players Association, the Players Union, was recognized at that All-Star game in Boston. Go read about that, because that was an interesting day. The players basically protested and threatened not to play in this nationally televised All-Star game, which was a big deal for a fledgling league. They're at that point, they were 17 years into the league, still not getting full footing. That was an important turning point in a lot that impacts the league right now. So yeah, go read about that. Danya asks, who do you got in this year's annual JB versus JT All-Star matchup? This is a good opportunity for me to remind everybody that we're going back to East versus West. So there's no chance they're going to be teammates. So the two years we got of them kind of facing off against each other, that was fun, but done. It's done. So I'm glad. And do you think Sam or Peyton should get a 3-point competition invite? Actually, no. Peyton maybe. Sam, it would not do well. I don't think Sam would do well in the All-Star, the 3-point shootout. It's not geared towards his style of shooting, right? Like I don't think he's like an off the rack. Like, I don't think he'd finish. I don't think he'd finish all racks. So I don't think I think Pritchard could do it, but Pritchard jumps like he would run out of gas by the end. That's the thing. The winners of the 3-point shootout are quick release, and they don't jump much. So yeah, I don't, but if they get the invite, they sure go have fun, but I don't think they would do particularly well, but I could be wrong. One more quick one here. Mike says, if Brad doesn't make any moves, brings back the same team from last season, where do you think we are standing wise? He says, he thinks they drop at least 5 or 6 of these closer games, probably the 3 seed. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to answer that in just a second because this is going to take a little bit of thought. Where do they end up standing wise if they had not brought in Holiday and Porzingis? Today's show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Plenty of time to get into the football betting action over there at FanDuel. Plenty, obviously, of NBA options there. And whatever sport you choose to bet on, all you got to do is place a $5 bet. You're going to get $150 in bonus bets. Place any $5 bet, $150 in bonus bets. Win or lose, so go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Sign up. You make your bet. $150 in bonus bets right away. Use the app to go through and just cruise through it's easy to cruise through. Lots of options. You can do live same-game parlays. You can find bets in their new Explore tab. You can visit the Parlay Hub and, find popular parlays that are going on and plenty more. FanDuel.com/lockedon. It's the official partner of the NFL. And the best part about it is they have tools that can set your limits, set your boundaries, set your budget. This way you can figure out how much you want to spend up front, and then you can have fun spending whatever that limit is and go for it. You can go ahead and gamble responsibly. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. I'm hosting on Wednesdays with Jake Madison, covering the whole league. All kinds of fun stuff going on in the league. Coaches going crazy in post games. Plenty of conversation pieces. So check it out. Locked On NBA, wherever you found this pod. All right, let's rapid fire our way through the end here. I say that every time, and I rarely get to it. All right, Mike's question was, what if Brad didn't make those moves? Where are they in the standings? It's tough to, he says injuries aside, but I think injuries do play into it. Marcus has been hurt. Rob's season is over. So hard to imagine. As much as I wanted to believe that Rob can get through a whole season, so far he has not been able to do that. So I think the Celtics still would have been fighting for the top spot. I don't know that they'd be this good. I think one of the elements, as I said in past podcasts, having Holiday and Porzingis, like there is no matchup issue on that last version of the team. So the Celtics don't have some of what Porzingis has been able to bring because there was no matchup problem like that on the team. And then the difference between Holiday and Marcus Smart is that Holiday is much more even keeled. And, the Celtics kind of, they got very far playing on pure emotion. Now I think they need the level-headedness. And as a guy who fought for Marcus Smart and really believes in Marcus Smart still, I can also admit that, hey, you know what? I get it. I get why this works. And I see it now that as much as Marcus does make these incredible plays and they would still be really good with Marcus on the team, I think now in this next stage of trying to navigate these late game close situations, the emotions actually work against them. And having Holiday, who's much more even keeled, but still makes a lot of the same types of plays and can still hit the shots and all of that, I think that is more helpful than having Smart around and his wild emotional swings. Like I said, when you're younger and not as good, the emotional swings, the emotional boost is really necessary. And then it's kind of like growing up. That's you can get by on pure emotion as a young person. And then as you get into your 30s and 40s, you're like, okay, got to be much more level-headed because I'm making big boy decisions. And I think that's what Holiday brings. Lindsay says after, let's see, I was hesitant about Jrue and Kristaps because I really loved Marcus and Rob. But I feel now that Jrue and Kristaps are better versions of those two players. Would you agree? It's kind of like to the same answer I was giving. That's why I put these together. Yes. So Holiday is a better version of Marcus Smart, and Porzingis is a better version of Rob. As much as I love those two guys, I think Porzingis, the size and the stretching ability of being a threat from three, that's just too much, right? He can still pass the ball really well. I think Rob is a better, kind of more instinctive passer, but yeah, Porzingis is just a better player, and Holiday's better. And like I said, fits better for this version of the Celtics. So I really love Rob and Marcus as well. I think they're great. I still think the Celtics could have won with them, but they're a better team with the players that they have. Clay says, okay, John, in a crazy turn of events, you find yourself thrust into the head coaching position of the Boston Celtics. Oh, great. In terms of scheme, practice, message, lineups, etc., what's the one change that you're making right away to get Coach Karalis era off to a good start? Well, the first change I would make if I was head coach would be to resign as head coach because I would be terrible at the job. However, if they need me to do the coaching, my first thing, I would just run more Tatum, Brown screen actions, off-ball screen actions. I would especially be using the fourth quarter down the stretch, making sure that they are playing together off the ball. I would just do a lot more. I would use, obviously, Holiday or White to start, initiate the offense. And I would run just actions with those two and like Porzingis and kind of get those two the ball on the move, especially down the stretch. I would just do more of that. I would like to see that. I actually want to take the ball handling duties kind of away from them a tiny bit. But that's why I'm a podcaster and not a coach. Maybe that's not the best idea, but that's what I would do. And I think that would work. I think it would work in the fourth quarter. I think down the stretch, I would want more of them catching the ball on the move. And I think that would be helpful. Andrew says, how good are overseas teams? Could a Division II player make it in China? How would the G League fare against European teams? So the question of how good are overseas teams? Well, some are very, very good. Some are god awful. There are different levels. Like when I was playing in Greece, I didn't play in the top division. Like I wasn't that level of a player. I played in a lower division. So, and then those types of divisions exist in multiple countries, many countries. So could a Division II player make it in China? Sure. Absolutely. It depends on the Division II player. I mean, you got to be a good basketball player, but Division II is a pretty good level of basketball. And you could probably carve out a decent career playing in the lower levels overseas. But you got to understand the lower levels overseas also come with real serious issues. Like they don't always pay. They don't always pay on time. And if you're not a star or if you get hurt, there's a chance you're not going to get your money or all of your money. So that's the downfall. The top leagues, yeah, the Euro League teams, those teams could beat G League teams. They're better than G League teams. They're probably, I would say, the best international teams are probably like a 6th seed in the NBA, right? Like I think they could be that good. But I don't think they're any better than that. So obviously that's better than a G League team. But like I said, there are levels. A good Division II player can go play in a second division team in Europe or Asia or South America, Australia, and probably find a role somewhere. And if you just got to deal with a lot of the other stuff like that. That's the trade-off. But there's, especially now in 2023, tons of opportunities for lots of college players to continue living that dream. It's difficult, and it's not going to be the easiest life in the world, because you're traveling and you're going to go from country to country. And again, money is an issue, but just but the opportunities are there. Tony asks, Ice Cube was in Boston for the Houston game, and it got me thinking about some of the legends. I'm sure all of Celtics Nation is dying to know your Mount Rushmore of rappers, dead or alive. Okay. This is an impossible task. To pick 4 rappers to represent the genre is just impossible. There's no way. This is going to be a bad list. So my approach was, I need one person to represent like an era, a movement, a thing. And I spent like half an hour on this question, more time on this question than on some of the basketball questions, because I do love rap music. I that's a whole other story. Growing up as a son of Greek immigrants, I kind of came to the United States. Well, I was born in the United States. My family came to the United States, and it made me like a music free agent. I didn't have influences like a dad or a mom that said, "Hey, listen to, Smokey Robinson, or this, whatever, the Beatles, or pick whatever genre, pick whatever that people fall in love with because of their parents." I didn't have that. So I had to discover music kind of on my own, and being good at basketball kind of brought me into the hip hop culture and rap music. And that's kind of where, as I was forming my personality growing up in high school, playing outdoors, playing ball, outdoor courts, back in the late 80s, early 90s, that was, everybody, we played to a soundtrack. Guys had their, cars with the trunks open, so the woofer, it was a wild time. I loved it. But that's how I kind of like got myself into the rap music. So clearly I'm a child of the golden era. I am as old as rap music. Rap was born in 1973, and so was I. So I'm literally as old as rap music, the genre. So, okay. So to the point of this, for those of you who are still listening, my first choice is Rakim. And he kind of he was such a lyricist. The voice was so distinct. I wanted to go with Big Daddy Kane because he was like my favorite, like my first real favorite. Long Live the Kane is my favorite rap album, and that's 1988. It's such a different sound than any current rap, but who represents that era of Big Daddy Kane, EPMD, Cool Mo D, LL Cool J, Cool G Rap, so many great names. So I picked Rakim because he just, the lyricism and everything, the voice, the delivery, just so incredible. So I picked him as a representative of that era. I picked Notorious B.I.G. for the 90s. Now we're getting into Tupac, and I couldn't put Big and Pac on the same Mount Rushmore. It's like you pick one or the other, and I was always Notorious B.I.G. Again, that era, I was thinking about Chuck D, kind of bridge the gap between those era. those eras. There's so many names. So I went with big. I needed a West Coast influence, right? And I settled on Snoop because I felt like he kind of encompassed a lot of that West Coast. Certainly was one of the biggest names. You mentioned Ice Cube. I wanted to go with Cube. NWA certainly changed. It was a game changer. I don't have anybody from the Wu-Tang Clan. That's an East Coast thing. That's New York. But like that era is so, oh my God, I can't whittle it down to 4. It's impossible. But Snoop is my West Coast representative. But just know that he's representing this entire era of West Coast G-Funk kind of that whole thing. It's not that I think Snoop is the best of them all. I just, Doggy Style was just an incredible album. Nothing But a G Thing was such an influential song with the style. Dr. Dre, but Dre was so much more a producer than a rapper, so I couldn't pick him. So anyway, I went with Snoop. And then the last one, oh God, I went with Jay-Z because I wanted to represent a more current type of person. Kind of wanted to go Kanye West, but I couldn't bring myself to say Kanye West because of everything that he's become. So, but that doesn't take away the influence. And Kanye did have a lot of, he did do a lot of production for Jay-Z. So it kind of encompasses that. They had their album together. They've done a lot of work together. So he is represented in this whole Jay-Z thing. Jay-Z represents commercial success, current commercial success. He kind of ushered in this kind of like big time, like becoming the billionaire kind of rapper. And then after that, like I start to fall off after that. So I don't know a ton more current people. But there's so many names on it. Like Black Thought is really underrated, I think. Kind of rapper. There's so many names, but those are my 4. And just like, see, I spent too much time talking about that. It's a basketball podcast. I'm talking about rap music, but that's my 4. Not that I think those are the 4 like faces of rap, but they represent a lot of what I'm trying to encompass. So this was my way of trying to represent a ton of people in 4 faces. Finally, last one, Matisse says, are you somehow connected or related to Latvia? Because your surname Karalis is Latvian. It means king. Respect from Latvia. Thank you so much. I always love when someone from Latvia mentions that my name in Latvian means king. I'm the real king of Boston Celtics podcast. I'm the real one. Some others might have the name. I have earned the name. So thank you for that. No, my name is Greek. But it's interesting. The name Karalis does come from I don't know that it's like my family's Greek. My family comes from Greece. But I think Karalis has some Turkish kind of lineage. I know that there's an island or a region of an island in Italy that is named Karalis. So it goes across the Mediterranean and then it spreads into, further north into like the Balkans and, Lithuania and Latvia and so I don't know where the first Karalis came from, but I do know that there's a Karalis influence around the region, not just Greece, but my family is Greek, but a lot of respect to Latvia as well. If you want to call me king, I'm not going to stop you. Thank you for listening, everybody. Appreciate you sticking around for a long podcast. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you are going to subscribe now. It's the only way to get this podcast directly to your phone, directly to your device. Subscribe. So when you open up your podcasting app, it's there. Ring the bell on YouTube. Hop into the comment section. Let me know what you think. Yell at me for, my rap Mount Rushmore or even, spending that much time on it. I would love it if you stick around and I'd love it if you spread the word I'll be back tomorrow post-game. So every post-game here. Hey, listen to the live radio call on Sirius XM and listen to me after the game. Spread the word. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching Locked On Celtics here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.